I think we're all queued in here.
We are. Sir, you got a little dust on your left pec. Could you dust that off? There you go.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Let me check to see if the background's online real quick. It is.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're
Didn't see that.
laughing because we're happy. We're excited.
Thrilled. Ecstatic.
You could say we've reached a goal, but at the same time, the climb begins now. Because
Climb continues.
now we got to sell.
You have to sell.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about the new tees. I'm sporting a navy. What's that color called, sir?
Sapphire.
Sapphire.
We have a sea foam,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a nice periwinkle. If people don't know off the top of their head what periwinkle is, it's about a royal blue.
Yeah.
The summer blues.
Yeah.
The beach kind of
Beach,
vibe,
yeah.
and just versatile shirts.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled about this collection. I've already gotten, some nice support, and I'm excited to keep getting them out there. Looks terrific on you, Ro. God, wow.
Okay. Let's just stay focused here today. Yeah, we're doing it, sir. New products online.
Yeah, morethandifferent.com.
Yeah.
Right at the front of the website, you'll see the collection. Go shop. Get one for yourself. Get one for someone else. Man, it's got that nice heavyweight cotton look. Not going to shrink at all,
Yeah. Heavyweight cotton look, but light
but light.
for these warm months.
Yes. I'm fired up. And yeah, like we said on last pod, a new brim coming out tomorrow, 4th of July, color, USA theme, more than different. You know what I was thinking? Because we are it's coming a little later than we thought. This is a big Olympic summer. So you can, look, you want to be supporting USA? USA. The hat will have a longer timeline
Yeah.
of being able to maximize sales.
Yeah. An accidental two birds, one stone.
Yeah, I
with
think
the
so.
colors.
I think so is what I realized. So we're sitting in a good spot. I'm excited. A lot of great things ahead. We got our tournament August 17th at Duggar Park in West Medford. 3rd year we're doing that. Summer is just beginning, yet so much has already happened and so much is still yet to come. So
Now, please remind them what that tournament is going towards, those proceeds.
yeah,
It's
thanks.
different this year, but of course, that societal-oriented cause still present,
Still
as
present.
we always do.
Yeah, the last 2 years we've raised about $5,000 in scholarship money, which has been awesome, and that's a credit to the support of all the players who have been a part of it, all our sponsors, any donations. That's what's made it possible. So that's been great. But in that, we've only been able to give out 5 scholarships. So 5 different people have been impacted, which has been great. But this year, what we're going to do is give half of the proceeds to Boys and Girls Club of Arlington and the YMCA of Medford. Because, look, the yearly memberships are $30 or so. That's what it is at Arlington Boys and Girls Club. And so if we can raise, say whatever X amount of money, similar amounts that we've raised the last few years, we'll be able to impact, 40, 50 kids, 30 to 50 versus, just settling for 2 or 3. So I think that's important to us and understanding how pivotal of a role the Boys and Girls Clubs and those spaces played in my life. I think yours as well.
Yeah.
Being able to have somewhere to go that's safe and kind of a conducive environment for finding the things you love to do and having the right people facilitating that stuff. So I think it's important to give back. So we're excited about that.
Yeah. Didn't realize until I was too old for the B&G how much I went to that consistently, specifically for that flow state.
Open gym.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Learned how to play basketball there, so it'll always hold a special place in my heart. And I think it's important to keep having kids being in those kind of spaces because they mold you in ways you don't realize until you might be older. Where
Right.
it's like I'm telling you, I fell in love with basketball there. You know, I didn't have a hoop in my driveway or in my Boys and Girls Club biddy ball. So that is our philanthropic effort for this year's tournament, and we're fired up.
We are. Before I go to a different basketball topic, sir, do you recall your career high in that gym?
Oh God,
That
I would
that arena career high? We might call it an arena.
Yeah. Oh man, no, I don't.
Were you Kobe, 63 at 8 years old, sir?
I know I had at Fidelity House, which is kind of the similar. I do remember a specific night. I think I had 50. I do remember that.
Don't say it like that.
I did have 50.
You said
other than
50.
that, the memories are foggy. I do remember putting the ball in the tin a bit. We're going to actually put in right now a video of me going for a lefty layup at such a young age, and I'm a righty. That's when I knew I had it a little bit, and it was in the Boys and Girls Club game. I'm a little skittering around. Put that in right now. It's a hilarious clip. I put up the little lefty just puffs out of my hand.
Yeah.
And it goes in. So that's when I think basketball became something that was going to be a pivotal part of my life.
Yeah, I can guarantee, and I don't know this. I didn't even know this video existed. This is the first time I've heard of it. I can guarantee you that Mr. McNamara has watched that video within the last 4 months, and that's just too recent. That's just too recent.
I can't sit here to deny it.
Yeah.
But
Precisely
I don't watch
what I
too
thought.
frequently, but it is
Yeah.
it is one of those things where it's like, oh, you want to see me when I was a youngin'? Well, look at this, to the cup.
Okay. Now to my more specific basketball topic, and I was going to bring this up last pod. I don't know if it's better, this one, but I got a question.
Yeah.
Are we even thinking about the 2024 NBA champions?
Isn't it crazy? And this brings up a great just concept in general, is how quickly things pass. The moment happens and it feels so magnified in the whole world, especially being in Boston. It felt like they're trying to comprehend anything else going on in people's lives that wasn't watching the finals or the parade.
Yeah, we talked
specifically
about it. Yep.
was so hard to grasp. And now here we are, just a week and a half removed from that. And it's like,
I haven't even heard the Celtics mentioned. I haven't seen a Celtics.
yeah, well,
garment.
that's because we're sitting pretty as the champs, and all these other teams are
There you
having to be all active making trades because they have to try to equip themselves with the necessary tools to even take a stab at the Boston Celtics. But yes, it is crazy how you have that your moment happens and then the next thing keeps coming, and news cycles are just so fast. So it's crazy. You have to kind of seize your time of fame, not for like an NBA player, but those happen for, I think about like those little Cinderella runs that happen in the March Madness.
Yeah.
And you get a player who like pops off, and it's like everyone's talking about him for those few days, and then once they get knocked out, a week later, it's like long, your history.
Yeah. And I feel like that's been heightened by the pace of the current media scape or information scape, of course.
Sure.
And, I'm not saying anything new. I've said it before. I might be parroting. People have said it before. But there's no doubt that that quick fade was present long before that fast-traveling information that we've seen in the last, decade-ish. I think it's just the fact, period. Those successes fade. Like Phil said.
That's what, yeah.
What did Phil say?
I don't know what you're going to say. I know Phil said a lot, but I'll say what I think people should hear. And I always remind myself, you get too caught. The work is the reward, because you get to that destination and you chase that destination. The destination, and we alluded to this last pod, but the idea of where you want to end up, kind of drives you so hard and will make you make so many sacrifices or forget that you're in the moment of when things are happening, whether they're great things or difficult things, that when you reach that end goal or destination, you get there and you're like, it was sweet for a little, and then it just fades off.
Yeah.
And that validation or relevancy that you were chasing, it happens and then it passes, and then it's like, all right, can you do it again? Can you sustain it? And so the work is the reward.
Yeah, Phil said, you're only a success for the moment that you complete a successful act. And I think, how often do we win NBA championships? Almost never.
Yeah, right.
But do we have big victories if we're chasing them 100%? And I think it's important, like you were just talking about, not to wait only for those big moments, those waves, if you will, tsunamis. We got to be able to appreciate the low tide. We got to be able to, and I know you hate on my metaphors, but not only was that metaphor buttery, but it's also fitting with the new merch. I'm on another level.
Yeah.
This is a late night pod. I'm supposed to be tired. I'm supposed to be thinking about bedtime. I'm an early knocker, early riser, but we're here. Anyway, we got to be able to appreciate those low tide, calmer, softer, more frequent waves instead of waiting for that tidal bar, because TITLE, TIDAL.
Yeah, ambiguous. Nice.
So,
well done.
So I've really been locked in for the last 40 seconds.
Yeah, but you should have just let it happen instead.
I know, but I just sometimes you got to talk your ish and let them know too.
All right.
But yeah, talk to me about, fractioning and fragmenting, I think is a better word, those bigger successes into more frequently attainable goals to keep that momentum up and to really, I guess, shift the reward from those infrequent big moments, although those, of course, are to be celebrated and,
chased. Yeah.
Right. But what have you seen with a more steady, smaller goal setting, more frequent, smaller reward type of approach? What has that done for you? Anything stuck out? Has it changed the way you view things? Talk to me.
Yeah, that's a great question. And yeah, it absolutely alters like your approach when you're going about it. Like, all right, this is a brick by brick process.
I was just thinking the words day by day.
Day by day, brick by brick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, again, obviously you got to have ambitious goals, okay? More than different. Yeah. It's about being authentic. It's about being ambitious. So, and being ambitious is about having goals and chasing them and doing your part to elevate toward reaching that pinnacle. But yes, I think when you get so caught up in a vision or a idea of where you want to be, you just lose
an ideal.
Yeah, you just lose sight of who you currently are, and you start to chase something that is, quite frankly, just being made up in your head of what you might perceive it to be, and it's often so much different. And it's crazy hearing some interviews from. I've heard coaches or players say, like, they reach the mountaintop, and then the following few days it was just like they're depressed, which that seems very embellished. But at the same time, you start to be like, wow, you did all that work and you failed to maybe appreciate the moments of all the lessons throughout the journey that you were learning. Yeah. That you can take and grow in small moments because you were so caught up in, I'm just doing this just to get here, just to get here, just to get here. You get there and you're like, damn. And so for me, even with this business, it's still going slow, where we haven't scaled to a massive extent yet. But I even think about that where I'm like, I want to make this my life. Okay. what the hell's that look like? You know, I have that idea of like, wow, if I can get to that, if we can get to that point, it's not an I, it's we. If we can get to that point, Colin, I, you, whoever else is on the team, where this thing is a real, sustainable, profitable business, man, everything in my life will be happy. You say that, but what does that look like? And two, is that the only reason you're doing it day by day now? Since I started when I was I was 16. And so I think a lot, you know, that shift of just, hey, enjoy all the things I'm learning along this road and be willing to accept the uncertainty of this might not go how I thought it might, or that vision, because like we said, frames change. And if you're so stuck on getting to this one point, then you struggle to accept anything that isn't that. And then your mind's all warped and you think it's all failures versus all whether it's lessons you learn and or an altering of perspective and you know, goals and destinations. So where I thought I'd be 5 years ago is probably not where I am, for better and worse. Not worse, but I probably thought I'd be doing different things, maybe at a different school or whatever. But at the same time, the way I'm feeling and the way I'm doing and my lifestyle, it's better than I maybe would have thought. So accept uncertainty and allow have that day by day, brick by brick approach. And you look up one day, the brick house will be there.
Yeah.
But you can't build a house without a foundation and without good habits, which I feel like we haven't even talked about that much.
We'll get there eventually.
We will.
You came full circle there, talking about brick by brick, day by day. Brought in that house metaphor we love to run, and I'll jump on it. I think getting too caught up in that basket where you put all your eggs, whatever that big frame, you know, massive like wave of water goal is, you just lose the present. You know what I mean?
Well, I have one question. This is a good question too. Do you have, you know, in these thoughts you have is like, if I just had this going for me, or if this just happened to me, it would solve everything.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of that when people say that basically they're one moment or change away from everything getting better, whether it's a person coming into their life that they want to come back, or it's some spontaneous serendipitous thing that's like, holy shit, some opportunity,
job,
like money. What do you think about that? Because you hear that a lot. So, oh man, if I just had I'd be happier. And it's like,
personally, I think you can have that thought, but if you harp on that too much, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Either you're asking for something which is just simply not going to come, so you're being unrealistic, or you're worried thinking about something that you can just take action to manifest,
to potentially manifest
into your life, instead of thinking about how you don't have it. And I think, you know, that goes right in line with losing that presence in, you know, thinking too much about the destination rather than the process. Because for me personally, I really try to wring all of the water out of the towel each day, meaning I try to, you know, spend all of my waking time each day being productive in, you know, different ways, gym, work, school, class, whatever it is and whatever my situation is. I'm trying to hit that gas every day, you know, avoid that phone, you know, avoid a nap, try to stay well rested, to stay awake, you know, just avoid anything that's pulling my attention away from being able to be productive and maximize, right?
Jesus. Got a motorcycle posse outside the house.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
With all that being said, and the posse, out of earshot, what I was saying was through that demand, through that routine, which is just day, 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 like we said, stacking bricks, stacking days, as demanding and challenging and, exhausting, to be frank, the life that I try to live may be, that really is enjoyable to me. Every moment of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's back to episode 3, something that we, or at least I, really started to hone in the basketball space, but which ended up transcending that completely, where it was just basketball for Mike and Kobe, but their unrelenting, just inexhaustive desire to put their all into whatever they do and to try to perform at their best in that is inspiring, and was so. And, it drove us to do the same on the court. And like we said in that episode, off of it, with our journaling, reading, trying to become well-spoken, our vocab, etc. Like, all of those things we strove for. And it was difficult. And I think I'm finally coming full circle to that 4+ years later, with really being able to just flip that switch and do my best in whatever. But like I said, through that demand, I'm present too. And I embrace that struggle. Like, it feels good for me to fail.
Yeah.
For me to feel like I might fall off the track. I might fall into a rut because I'm tired. I'm on the edge of enough sleep or whatever it is. But, I can see the joy, the connections with others, with myself, the progress, all of that through that storm. And it's all enjoyable, as tough as it is. But that's because I'm focused day by day, task by task, moment by moment.
Well said. No, and it's a paradox, because it is so being in it's crazy how much we think about the future.
Yeah.
And what might happen, and we like predict things months in advance of how we think things might go. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
And we have an idea of what the next year holds and where you'll probably be a year from now. There's so much uncertainty that obviously can create anxiety. So anxiety is like a fear of uncertainty. But wouldn't we just be better off if we live in the moment and kind of trust that if things get hard, you'll deal with them when they happen and they get hard? And it's so much easier to say that because our minds tell us all kinds of things. But I try to catch myself in moments where I'm like thinking about what bad could happen out of something, or what I'm worried about or stressed out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to deal with it when I really have to face it, or deal with it immediately, and don't just put it off. And then at the same time, it's like, if you do get too caught up in the pattern of day after day doing the same stuff without having a sense of where you're going, you sometimes can feel lost too. So it goes like, you do need to have a sense of direction and purpose.
Yeah.
And like, there's something you're doing this for. You're not just going through the motions of life just to be in the moment. Like, no, you got to have a plan, an idea,
Right.
Ambitions, undoubtedly. But you can't let the future be the thief of the joy in the moment.
It's well said, sir.
I think so. I've noticed that quite a bit. And
yeah, as have I.
But nonetheless, you still all will think about what's going to happen, what might happen. It's like, about deal with it when it comes.
Yeah.
Instead of predetermining. But, look, it's part of life. We're never arriving. We're always becoming.
Yeah. And we've never had a conversation about that idea that you just said, but we both are on the exact same page because I've had many conversations with other people about this idea, and typically the language I use is like, if point A is the present moment and point B is you in whatever your goal is in a year or 5 years or the end of your life, whatever your vision is, that you have of you having reached, quote, completed whatever it is, as we said, always becoming. We haven't ever really arrived, but we have small arrivals. Let's just say that we string together on a journey that we're always.
We only arrive when we die.
There you go, sir.
That's the end.
I mean,
that's the final destination is death. Everything else is just a continued
unfolding
ascend, or not necessarily an ascend, could be a descend, but just more so an unfolding.
Right. And like we said, there's volatility there, and how you deal with that is simply how you respond in the moment.
Well said.
But I think, there's a constant dance. We'll go with dance between that B point and from the present A, looking at that B and evaluating what you have to do to get there. And also just being in the present at that A completely in whatever you're doing to bring you to that B, whether it's business calls or podding or putting on the tournament, finding sponsors, right? Creating media, whatever it is, and that's just in the lens of MTD. Like, you have to be here, otherwise that won't get completed, And so there's this dance between, okay, where am I going and what's the proper action in the present that I need to do and do fully immersed in it, to my fullest, to my best, so that I can bring that B closer to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's well said.
Appreciate it.
It's well said. Yeah. It's how can you be efficient and effective and doing the things that align with the destinations and goals that you strive to reach.
Right.
Because there's always such a misalignment. And when there's the misalignment, there comes frustration, feelings of failure, and like
misalignment of
in terms of actions
you're taking and how they
action
align with
and
that.
ambitions.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
There's a misalignment between ambitions and the actions you have. I mean, for the last few years, I feel that with More Than Different. Being at college, where it's like, what can I legitimately get done?
Yeah.
With the time I have, and how do you alter the goals to then create that sense of momentum of like, you know what, we're still doing what we can, maximizing what we have with the time for me, and then Colin too, working. But the ambition stayed too lofty. And so then the action did not align with them. And as a result, it's like, dude, we're fucking blowing this right now. We have no momentum.
Yeah.
And that just creates frustration, discouragement, all shitty feelings that can be mitigated by having an honest assessment of like, all right, what are my ambitions? Am I doing my part to align my action and my day-to-day habits to get there? If I'm not, then either change the habits and the actions or change the goals and the ambitions.
Yeah.
It's a fucking bar. God.
All right. It was on me earlier about saying that, but
it's a fucking bar.
It's true. But I think also, okay, just settle down over there.
30.
Brother. One thing that arose there was an idea of, but can you always downsize your goals and string them together? Because granted, if you had a weekly goal out at the E, out at the Lion's Den, am I out of line?
What, at the E? Oh, Emerson.
Yeah. So if you had a weekly goal, like, and every week it was the most close to failure you could get while still achieving that goal, right? So basically you maximizing your week. My question is, through that, like we mentioned in the past, volatility of college and the difficulty of attaining progress outside of your, sports and semester studies and whatnot, your social life. Do you think, or what would you do in a scenario where you can't necessarily get enough time to put that consistent small goal reaching, in place to reach a bigger goal? Like, would you just do what you can anyway, despite inconsistency, which, as we've seen, is super difficult
Yeah.
with growing something from the ground up? Like, you really have to be able to just allocate. And that's why you see a lot of people, once they become financially free, then they have all that time open up from work that they're not doing to put into something. And it's like, oh, I can take this off of the ground, or do you think it's also, like, aside from one I just made with maybe doing what you can despite that not necessarily being a perfect way of, ascending on the graph of success, so to speak, do you think also breaks are necessary for you to get into a different place, chapter, period of your life where your structure is different, your time is, more free, and you can really just dedicate energy, and lots of it or enough of it to those big things? What do you think about that?
I totally agree about the point about breaks and accepting
that progress is halted.
Mm-hmm. But that's a part of that process toward, in the zoomed out lens of the whole journey. It's, I remember my dad always said, as he comes downstairs, is I used to just want to get dropped off early in the morning to work out, and my wonderful parents would do it on most mornings, but every so often he'd say, Brendan, rest is part of being great. You need to rest. Do nothing. Don't touch a ball. And to me, that would mess with my head. I'm like, oh my God, someone's getting better than me. Like, I'm going to come in the next day. I would have this assumption that if I didn't shoot for 2 straight days, that my jumper handle would feel off. And that's just all psychological bullshit. And that's saying no different with how MTD's felt in the past few years, where it's like, oh man, like I'm trying to do stuff, but I just don't have I'm mentally exhausted. I feel stressed. It feels like I'm mailing it in. It's not good work, but I'm just trying to, like, sustain something. Versus this past year specifically, it was like, hey, I ain't going to be doing much during my season. I'm fully immersed in that when I can, and because I will naturally feel refreshed to want to put into it when I have the opportunity, because I set the bar as like, hey, the progress is going to be halted a bit.
Yeah.
And obviously that's not sustainable for this scaling, but in the zoomed out journey of what this is, and my life and my brother's life, it's like that's had to be accepted. And the sooner that's been accepted, I think the more eager I've become to get back into it when the time opens up.
Right.
And when, likewise for Colin, and especially going into the summer, it was like spring and summer, once season ended, it was like, oh man, like, let's go.
Yeah.
Now I'm fired up. So
yes,
you have to accept that a break is a part of the process of staying refreshed and mentally being bought in to your goal, just as much as, like, the physical demands of attaining anything are required. Mental is just as important. And if you're just worn out, you're going to eventually tip over.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, because...
Do you agree?
I agree. I think when we talk about maximize, and like I was mentioning earlier, me having a small list and a general outline of what I try to improve on each day, that's still enough things so that there's an oscillatory nature to my life, where at certain points, like, I might be more focused on, let's just say, dropping everything because my mind needs to get back to a sound place, mental health wise, maybe mentality wise, getting that killer really,
Yeah.
accessible and
Honed.
ready to unleash at any moment. Or, maybe I'm really focused on that rec center, been working out twice a day, and I just want to compete against myself in the morning lift and then those boys in pickup in the afternoon, right? And so you can see there are certain times when not everything is balanced. Like I'm talking about Mr. McNamara, couldn't balance a season and the brand and the semester and city life.
No.
Because then everything crumbles because you don't put enough into each one. And so I think it's really important to understand, like, one, if you're maximizing, you probably have a few things in your life, truly maximizing, you probably have a few things in your life that are going to demand your focus at certain times and a level of focus where you have to drop other things, if not everything, some things.
Yeah, you can't have balance in everything.
It's important to accept that although sometimes you might be kind of like keeping up a balloon on each one really well, at certain points the balloon has to fall, and this one just has to be kept up because all of a sudden it starts falling faster. You know what I mean? You got to keep that up more frequently, and you only have so much that you can dance between. But accepting that is really, really liberating.
It is.
Because like you said,
balance
and
in
like we've told
everything
ourselves,
just makes you're just going to be average at everything.
right. And like we've said in the past, that story, like you were talking about too, this episode, it shouldn't be that like paranoia, nervousness of, oh shit, I don't have enough time to keep all these things up. Like,
yeah,
just do the best in whatever you can at that moment, and whatever your, intuition or just simply situation, if it's glaring, is telling you to focus on.
right.
And just stick with that situation and be fully present again. Don't lose out on the moment and being able to put your best into something because that mind is like, oh shit, I could be working out if, you're injured, and you don't, like, you might have to pause and not get more hurt and take yourself out for longer, for example. Be able to accept that. Be able to dial down some burners and dial that heat up on some others.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge area of growth and difficult thing to accept.
It's a mature type of kind of like looking at it like a manager of a football club. You're looking at the pitch rather than playing striker.
Yeah. It was a kind of a cool full circle moment for me just last week. I'm training this kid, working with Gold Standard Hoops this summer. Awesome company. Check them out. And I'm doing some coaching training, running camps. So that's what I'm up to in the summer for work, if anyone gave a fuck. I don't blame you if you don't. But it's kind of a full circle moment. I'm training this kid, and he's going to be a rising freshman, and he seems to love it. I'm not sure. I think he does, and I just really want him to love it. But he's coming up to me. We finished our workout last Friday, and he actually asked me, he was like, hey, what do you think? Like, I have the weekend. Like, I don't have anything going on. Like, I feel like I should work out every day, right? And so I was basically giving myself young me advice as now 21-year-old me, which was kind of like gave me chills, but it also was like, hey, listen, take a day. You need to put the ball down for a day. Find some other things that might fulfill. You cannot define yourself with this game because it'll wear your ass out, and it'll allow you by having the ability to say, you know what, I need a little rest, both physically because you worked out every day all week, you're gonna get hurt, and mentally, you'll be so eager to get back to it.
Yeah, right.
The minute you're recharged, and you're like, oh, I cannot wait to work out again. Because if you just go through that is the balance of like, and the fear with being in such a routine for such a long period of time that at some point you start to be like, I'm just going through this motion.
Right.
What am I? And so I remember that's why we had that talk about how sometimes you might need to let go for a little on like a weekend.
Yeah.
And it's not about letting go in for a sustained period of time. Like, all right, for a whole week, I'm just going to.
Yeah.
It's about how can you integrate times of just allowing yourself to just be and not stress about the things that feel like they're very demanding.
Yeah.
How can you integrate the times of letting that go while then being able to quickly re-enter that space of
Right.
like, all right, I want to get back to working on my
Right.
craft.
Yeah.
And so I think he got the message. I hope he took a couple of days off. But it was kind of full circle because that's what I needed to hear. And hearing it from someone, well, my dad, certainly, and it still resonates. Rest is part of being great, but like you get so caught up in your head about this, like other people are working harder than me, other people are getting ahead if I'm resting or not doing this or not trying to edify myself in every single way to be the most multidimensional person I can be.
Yeah.
Who cares what other people are doing?
Yeah. What do you need?
What do you need?
Yeah.
Run your race. Don't worry a damn about anyone else. So I hope he got that message, and I remind myself that message all the time, and I hope maybe a few of our listeners needed to hear that because you can't have the foot on the gas at all times. The fucking engine is just gonna burst.
Yeah. And I think you're talking about, this might be the last point, sir. It's possible it's not, but you're talking about maybe an intuition or just a knowledge of the self that comes with, much work and much time with yourself and just learning your own
mistakes,
process and methods, right? And I think sometimes you just gotta take a break when you're not even at the edge and brink of burnout.
Right.
Just because it might open up a little space. I don't even know what necessarily happens inside. Sometimes it just is what it is. Sometimes it's more articulatable. But it just opens up an ability for you to go harder. You know what I mean? Be more relentless or have more attention to detail in your workout or something like that. When you kind of lose that presence just off monotony of work. At a certain point, being fully consumed with your life and being close or at maximization, like you get numb to it and you can, and it becomes just like although I'm at a really high level, it doesn't really feel like anything because I'm just going through the motions and I'm adapted to this level of output. But sometimes you got to take a break, dial it down so that you can turn that flame up way higher when you don't even necessarily need it. But of course comes the balance of, are you cutting corners? Are you making excuses?
Right. That can't justify
really being savvy with it and using that as a tool, which is purely motivated in, how can I elevate? How can I deliver my best?
Yeah. And so it's about, being able to appreciate the moments of letting go a bit, just being with yourself and wherever you are and not worrying about what you should be doing or could be doing, just be.
Yeah.
And celebrating your journey, your successes, your challenges, all that, how far you've come, and then re-entering that elevate mode. And that right there is why we call this pod
The Ace Place.
The Ace Place.
Yeah.
That's episode 7?
Yes, sir.
6, right? 7?
Sir, this is, I think, 2 episodes in a row
I butchered. Oh, yeah, you get
it's all right.
You get so immersed.
We're so present.
You get so immersed in the
What
moment.
can we say? We're so present.
Happy 4th of July to everyone. This will come out on July 5th.
Yeah.
Like I said on the last pod, it's cool to have pride in your country. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's become too normalized to, hate on where you're from. I'm excited about a week of celebrating this wonderful country we live in, and Ace Place will be a nice little hangover pod for people to listen to coming off a bender on Thursday.
Coming off your dentist activities, we'll lock you right back in.
Yeah.
Little break for you. It's time to get back to business.
Yes. Peace, and take a look at the back of my garment.
I'm actually, this pod ain't over yet, sir. You might be gone, but I'm going to just remind, yeah, loosen that up right there.
Tarps.
Tarps.
Holy tarps.
Yeah.
All right, we good? Can we go?
No, I just got to say, remember that point B. Remember where you're going, but also remember the only way to get there is to be in the A, be in that present. You got anything else, Tarpy?
No, it's a hell of a tarp. Go to morethandifferent.com. Available in abundance. They are moving though, so
Yeah,
some of those navies are dwindling.
yeah.
There's a dearth left.
Loves dearth.
A dearth of them. But no, great episode. I hope people resonate with some of the things we say, and let us know in the comments what you think. We're well open to disagreements, to thoughts, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear the boys talk about. Let it rip.
Yeah.
But morethandifferent.com. Shop summer collection.
Yeah.
Hats coming in.
Yeah.
They'll be here by the time this pod is out. So be on the lookout and absolutely assault that add to cart button. Okay. It's been a wonderful episode. I need a drink of water. Peace.
Do you need lemonade?
Yes, I got to go buy some.
Peace.